the highlight of my week every week when I have this opportunity to celebrate Shabbat with you, to pray with you, to connect with you as community. I do so look forward to the day when we can do this in person, but at least for now, we were able to see each other and connect as community. So I know this has been a busy work week for many households and a busy week in the world. So I wanted to begin services with a reading from Mishkan Tefillah to help us enter into Shabbat. And it talks about the door of the synagogue. And though we are not literally walking through a door tonight, we are still walking through a door in many ways together. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who are hungry for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of the synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be, for all who enter it, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. And I so hope that is true, that this is a doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. And a great way to start that tonight is through the rituals of welcoming Shabbat, really starting this service together. So I turn it back to Cantor Aviva, who will lead us in those blessings.
Thank you, Rabbi Jordana. One of the things that I keep telling you that I miss most is really just having the opportunity to see each and every one of you in person, but also to hear your beautiful voices. I am longing to hear you. We are longing to hear you. So we have started this initiative of inviting people to participate in services. If you would like to lead a candle lighting or a kiddush, or even just some announcements at the end and introduce yourselves to our community virtually, we would love for you to be a part of services. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us and let us know. This evening, I am honored that our wonderful accompanist, Mike Raunick, has agreed to have his family lead candles and kiddush for us. So we now turn to the Berg Raunick family for candles and kiddush. And if you have candles and kiddush with you, we invite you to participate with us.
All right. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
What comes first, wreath, candles, or wine?
Candles.
Okay, candles first. Okay.
You ready?
That's fine. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav b'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
All right,
Ready?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav b'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho b'yava u'ratzon himhilanu zikaron l'ma'aseh b'reishit ki hu yom tehila l'mikraye kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim ki banu b'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikohanim ve'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava u'ratzon hinhaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Thank you, L'chaim. L'chaim, Berg Raunick family. L'chaim, Ruth. We're looking forward to your bat mitzvah next week. So L'chaim, and please, if you would like to participate in services, if you have extended family who will be maybe signing on or joining us for an evening, we would love nothing more than to welcome you and your families in that way. We also welcome a new month this evening. It is not just Shabbat, but it is Shabbat Rosh Chodesh Elul. Elul is perhaps the month that makes clergy people quake in their boots a little bit. It means that we are getting close. Elul, in all seriousness, is the month, of course, before Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and it is the month of introspection, the month where we have an opportunity to really reflect on our year, and we say, Hashivenu Adonai, return us again to that place of introspection. As some of you may know, Sisterhood has done us the honor of preparing beautiful teachings for us every month. And so it is my pleasure to invite Dana Parker to share with us a little bit about Rosh Chodesh Elul.
Hello. Good evening. As we welcome the month of Elul, I've been thinking a lot about the idea of justice. I think we all are these days. I've been thinking about our calling as Jews. Justice, justice you shall pursue, the Talmud says. We stand as a world and community on the precipice of something. If it's something good or something bad, we don't yet know. But it's in our streets, it's in our homes, it's in uncomfortable conversations many of us are having with our own family and friends about who we are as Jews and what that means. Black lives matter. We as Jews should know that to our core. We are a diverse community, though we may be small. We span from Europe, the Baltic Sea is where my ancestors come from, to Asia, Africa, South America. We touch every continent. We are Ashkenazi, Mizrahi, and Sephardic. We speak Ladino, Yiddish, Hebrew, Aramaic, and Persian. We aren't a monolith, but we know what it's like to be treated as one. 5780 has felt like a lifetime, just as 2020 itself has, and we are all emerging from it changed in some way. Part of my Jewish learning this year has been to educate myself in the writings and working of Jews of color, hearing how these fellow daughters and sons of Abraham and Sarah have felt left out of their communities and the ways they want support. We as a larger Jewish population owe it to our marginalized members to make sure that when we speak, we elevate their voices and ensure our temples and organizations hold space open for them and their experiences and knowledge. We cannot do the work of justice as outsiders coming in to impose what we think is right. We must let those who truly know the struggle lead the way. It comes down to this for me. We are living in an age where there is no nuance and too much performance. We are instructed to pursue justice, but what does that mean? Is that a black square on our Instagram and Facebook feed? A 15 or 60-second video about how the murders of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Tony McDade, Treshawn Reed, Mikhail Rose, and the literally thousands of other Black men and women murdered by the systemic racism in our country is wrong? Is it a link to petitions? Is it calling our friends who are Black, Indigenous, or people of color and telling them, I stand with you, then sitting back feeling like we did a good thing? What is justice in 5780? I would suggest that for us, justice is about seeing something wrong and committing ourselves to fixing it using the means at our disposal. Some of us are phone people. Some of us are able to open our wallets. Some of us can email, lobby, or march. We are all able to take action against injustice in some meaningful way, and that will be my focus in 5781. I invite you to join me. In closing, I want to share with you the words of one of my favorite poets, Audre Lorde. I hope it encourages you to open your eyes, even if it's uncomfortable. Lacking what they want to see makes my eyes hungry, and eyes can feel only pain. Once, I lived behind thick walls of glass, and my eyes belonged to a different ethic, timidly rubbing the edges of whatever turned them on. Seeing usually was a matter of what was in front of my eyes, matching what was behind my brain. Now my eyes had become a part of me, exposed, quickly risky and open to all the same dangers. I see much better now, and my eyes hurt. Thank you.
Beautiful. Dana, so incredibly powerful to hear your Torah. And so I thank you for teaching us Torah this evening. and for sharing your voice in that way. Thank you. We turn now to welcome peace and, God willing, the angels of peace into our midst and really into the world. As Dana so beautifully put it, a world of chaos, a world of unknown, and a world riddled with anxiety and fear in this moment, and rightly so. Perhaps praying for peace together on a Friday evening will give us each just a sliver of that hope. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem Leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni Leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitchem Leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
So this was a big week in many households around here, as students went back to school for the first time, either virtually or in person, since March. Now, going back to school often involves a lot of tears, a lot of anxiety, and some drama, and certainly new routines and rhythms to the day. So this week, as my children boarded what felt like a very early bus on Thursday morning, that perhaps I might have been the one with the tears, and perhaps my children were totally fine, this might have happened. I was thinking a lot about education and what that means. I was really thinking about what I want my children to learn, not just academically, but who I want them to be as people, and what I want them to learn in order to get there. My husband and I talk a lot about the values and lessons that we try to impart upon our children as they begin to carve their own paths as they walk in the world. But so too do we as Jews try to figure those same questions out as well. For Jews, as Jewish people, the Hafta outlines many of those things that are most important to us as we walk in the world. It reminds us of what is most important to us within the Jewish tradition, the ways that we can keep it alive for ourselves, and what we can do to help pass that along to other people. So let us continue now with the Shema and the Hafta, continuing the link with ourselves, and hopefully continuing it for future generations as well.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Shem Kevod Malechuto Leolam Leolam Va'ed Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Beautiful. A reading before Mi Hamocha. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get here from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. So let us join hands metaphorically, marching together as we continue with the Mi Hamocha.
Mi Hamocha Bailim Adonai, Mi Kamocha Nedar Bakodesh Nora Tehilot Osei Fele Nora Tehilot Osei Fele Malachutecha Ra'u Vanecha Bokei Ayam Livnei Moshe uMiriam Ze Eli Anu ve'ameru Adonai Himloch Leolam Va'ed Adonai Himloch Leolam Va'ed.
So the Vishamru, our next prayer, reminds us of the importance of rest and taking time to be refreshed. It helps us focus on the need to take care of ourselves and not just fill our days. This reminds me of an exercise that we did when I was in rabbinic school. A life coach came to visit one of our classes, and she began the session by drawing a glass, a cylinder, on a piece of paper. So she told us to think of this cylinder as our time, because she was going to fill it up. First, she drew these really big rocks and put them into the cylinder of the glass. And then she asked us, did we think that the cylinder was full? It looked pretty full, so we said yes. But then she found space in between the big rocks to draw in the little rocks. She asked us once again if we thought it was full, and once again we said yes. But then she drew little pebbles between the big rocks and the little rocks, proving that yes, there was still more room, more ways to fill up the cylinder. And finally, she told us that she would be able to pour water into the glass with the big rocks, the little rocks, and the pebbles. And she reminded us that only at that point would our glasses really, truly be full. And then she gave us perhaps the most important lesson. She reminded us to make sure that we put the big rocks into the glass first. Her point is that those glasses, those days, our time is going to be filled. It is up to us to decide what our big rocks are. and to make sure that we put our big rocks in first. So this Shabbat, as we know, we have just begun the High Holy period officially with Elul starting. We have the opportunity to think about what is in our glasses. Are we really putting our big rocks in first? And if we are not, what changes do we need to make in order to do so? I invite you now to take a couple moments of silent prayer to think about your glasses and what you'd like to do with your glasses in the year that is about to begin.
V'shameru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, et HaShabbat la'asot et HaShabbat ledorotam berit olam, berit olam. Beini uven bnei Yisrael, oti leolam. Beini uven bnei Yisrael, oti leolam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash. Beini uven bnei Yisrael, oti leolam. Beini uven bnei Yisrael, oti leolam. V'shameru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, et HaShabbat uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash. It is with that intention that we turn our thoughts to those in our lives and in our community in need of healing. The Mishaberach is a prayer not just for physical healing, whether it is emotional or spiritual, or even just healing as a community and as a world experiencing a pandemic. In this moment, I invite you to share names in the chat of people that you would like to say a prayer for so that we as a community can pray for them together. We think this evening of Lenny Rubenstein. And I will apologize in advance for the mispronunciation of any names, but know that our spirit and our heart is in the right place. We pray for Jill Ross and Billy Dunlap, Naomi Kaufman and Nancy Cushman, Debbie Manica and Gary Harrell, Richard Tormolin, Dennis Gelbart, Joanne Hamill, Maxine Cohen, Stacy Oliveira and Harriet Katz, Barbara Goldman, Havi Lev Goldstein, Nancy Stein Brown, and Linda Gross. We pray for Joanna Sloan, Janet Strausberg, Joel Morse, Dina Silver, Mike Berman and Zach Berman, Jillian Scott, Barbara Goldman, Nancy Bonhomme, Rosemary Burkett, William Niezgoski Sr., and Cynthia Helfgott, and John Hughes. We think of them, and we think of our communities, and of course our world as we join together in Misha Berach. Misha Berach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Lavoteinu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishe Beirach Imoteinu Mekor HaBracha Lavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Beautiful. So I want to start my sermon tonight by asking you a few questions. What is one of your strongest memories of Shabbat? Is it certain smells coming from the kitchen? Is it special dishes that you only used on Shabbat? Is it perhaps a special tradition that you and your family had that was only for Shabbat? So normally, I would invite you to share all of these memories with me during an oneg because I would love to hear them. Unfortunately, that is much more difficult to do now, but I would still love to hear these stories. So feel free to email them to me or find another way to get them to me because I really would love to hear them. But I do want to take an opportunity now to share a few of my memories. So growing up, Shabbat was always central to my family life, and we looked forward to it each and every week. It was a special time for my family when we would always have a delicious meal cooked by my mom. My parents are on tonight, so hi, Mom and Dad. And we very often would share these special meals with family and friends. I have memories of spending very many hours playing with friends after Shabbat dinners or snuggling up with my family and watching movies. Whatever we did on a particular Shabbat, we knew it was a special time for our family. But I have to say that one of my very favorite memories, one of my very favorite family traditions is when my dad would bless us. In the midst of the candle and wine blessings, traditionally a parent Usually a father blesses his child or children. The parent places his hands upon a child's head, and for a boy says, "May God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh." And for a girl, they say, "May God make you like Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah." It is customary also to say the priestly benediction. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ye'er Adonai panav alecha v'yehunecha. Yisa Adonai panav alecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God bless you and keep you. May the light of God shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the presence of God be with you always and grant you peace. Personally, I love the priestly benediction. I think it is beautiful and always creates a sacred moment when it is recited. And I also love the idea of blessing our children with the hopes that they will emulate our ancestors with their good qualities and hopefully make them their own. But instead of using either one of these traditional blessings, my dad would put his hands upon our head and give us a special and unique blessing for that week. He would incorporate things that had happened to us during that week. For example, if we did well on a test, he would include a blessing for success in school. If we had fun with friends, he would say a blessing for the joy of having good friends. If we did well in an athletic event, which wasn't super common in our house, but did happen on occasion, he would say a blessing for hard work and practice. You get the idea. He would personalize the blessings for us each and every week, looking for a blessing in the week that had just ended, celebrating our accomplishments, and helping us through whatever hard times had occurred. No matter what happened in the week, he would find blessings in it. What I love the most about the tenderness of this blessing is that it showed us the opportunity to find blessings in each and every week. Even when the weeks did not go our way, my dad taught us from a young age that even in those weeks, and perhaps most importantly in those weeks, we could still find blessings. He would end each of the blessings each week with wishing us to have good times with our family, that current family, and our own families when we would have them. One thing that is especially special about this tradition is that it still continues. Whenever we are lucky enough to be in the same place for Shabbat, my dad still blesses us. He still places his hands on our heads of me and my sisters and gives us blessings for the week. But now, as our family has grown, now not only does he bless us, but he blesses our spouses and our children, his grandchildren as well. My dad did not use the traditional blessings for the children on Shabbat, but his blessings did fit in very well with Jewish tradition. Judaism is a religion that encourages people to give thanks every day and to appreciate the blessings in our lives. Our prayers are filled with blessings. We say a blessing for waking up in the morning. We say a blessing for when we see beautiful things. We even say blessings at special moments and meaningful times. A recent blessing, which I learned recently, is from the Talmud, and Alan Goodis put it to music. The blessing is as follows. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who has given us this in this world. The beauty of this blessing is that it isn't specific, but it gives each of us the opportunity to find our own thing to be appreciative and grateful for. And appreciation is such an important part of Judaism, so much so that the rabbi suggested that we say 100 blessings a day. We talked about this concept a little bit at last week's Torah study. But let's just imagine for a moment what it would be like to go through each and every day looking for 100 blessings to stay. Could you imagine the way it would change the way we live our lives? What would it feel like to go through every day looking for 100 things to say a blessing for, or 100 things that make us happy? How would our attitudes be different? How would this impact our relationships with one another? Perhaps even change our own spirituality or connections with God. And I do know that there are some moments when we don't feel like giving thanks or saying blessings, especially not to God. There are times when we are struggling or our loved ones are in pain, and the last thing that we want to do is say a blessing. I know that many of us have struggled with this at times, and I have struggled with it as well. I will give you just a trivial, somewhat comical example. As you know, I am from California, and I spent 5 years living in Cleveland. And I will say that when I would look at the weather forecast during the winter in Cleveland, when the high was in the teens, I certainly did not feel like saying a blessing of praise. I will admit that truthfully, what often came out of my mouth was quite the opposite of a blessing. But looking through the world through the eye of blessings, I did try to adjust my attitude. I tried to tell myself that I should say blessing, that it was not colder, because it could be and was sometimes. I would say a blessing for the fact that I have shelter and a place to keep me and my family warm. And I would say a blessing for my clothes that would at least keep some of the terrible coldness off of my body. I did try to see blessings, even in the midst when it was hard to find them. And I do know that now that especially it can be difficult to find blessings each day when every day feels a little bit like the last. And I know even when we are not in a pandemic situation, it can be difficult to find 100 blessings a day. But I do think that there are lessons that we can learn from this practice. We can try to develop an intentional practice of expressing our appreciation. We can look at the world through the eye of gratitude for the blessings that are around us. We can seek out to spend our time with our big rocks, our things that are important to us, our things that make us happy. Shabbat is an especially good time for us to think about the blessings in our lives. As we take a pause from the craziness from the rest of the week, we can be like my dad, who, when he blessed his children, would reflect on the blessings of each week. And during Shabbat, we can focus on the gifts that are in our lives. So throughout this Shabbat, into this next week, and especially into the Jewish New Year, which really is just about upon us, we have the opportunity to think and to look for 100 blessings each day. I hope that in this new year, we are blessed with the ability to wake up every day, to feel refreshed, and to look for those blessings each day. So even in those dark times, I pray that we are able to appreciate the good that is in our lives and to experience the blessings that are around us each and every day. Ken Yehi Ratzon, Shabbat Shalom, and may your weeks be filled with blessings.
Ken Yehi Ratzon, beautiful. Thank you, Rabbi Jordana. I know that in this moment, I am appreciating the blessing of a wonderfully forgiving congregation who all read a message that I sent to an executive director asking if the camera angle was okay. And of course, I am incredibly grateful to my very forgiving clergy partners who I would never knowingly interrupt their sermon. So my sincere apologies for the blessing of, a computer charger that gave out. But absolutely beautiful. What a poignant message as we move into a little to pause and to really think about just how many gifts we have in our lives each and every day. Thank you for that. One of the gifts we in this community have is the gift of Miles Nelson. And Miles, if you are on, we would love to hear some announcements from you.
Hi, everybody. How are you? Shabbat Shalom. I'm Miles Nelson, and I proudly serve on IHC's board, your synagogue. That was a beautiful service, Rabbi. Beautiful singing, Cantor. Thank you very much. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I want to first remind everybody to stay engaged with IHC through IHC's Facebook page and through IHC's website. There's always a lot of announcements, and I want to just mention a couple to you. Near and dear to my heart, there is absentee ballot information on our website. There's a Break the Fast opportunity. All of this information, again, is on our Facebook page and on our website. There's how to send, an easy way to send money to IHC. And there's also the Sisterhood's Lilith Salon. I've said it before, and I will say it again. I am so happy to be able to spend time with all of you, my IHC family. It's good to see faces, familiar faces, even though we're at a distance. Carla Yale, Norman Sider, Larry Cohen, and we've got some royalty here too, IHC royalty, Marv and Marcia Goldstein. This is always my favorite day of the week. It's an opportunity to have a week's exhale, an opportunity to let everything go. I know things are crazy, and it's an interesting time to be alive. As Rabbi Jordana said and reminded us that we should look for the positive things, we should look for 100 blessings every day. And we can choose on the negative, to focus on the negative, or we can choose to focus on what we're grateful for. And I, my friends, I want to choose to focus on the latter. Because I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for this congregation. I'm grateful for this beautiful evening. And I'm grateful to have the opportunity to share this evening with all of you. So as we enjoy this Shabbat, let us take a moment to take a deep, slow, and grateful breath and see the goodness, however large and however small. Remember that on this Shabbat, you are surrounded by your IHC family. And we are grateful that you are here sharing your time with all of us. So with that, Shabbat Shalom and stay safe.
Shabbat Shalom, Miles. Thank you so much. And while you are mentioning the people who are with us this evening, we're so glad all of you are here. I am told that David Sklan is also here listening on his phone. And so David, Shabbat Shalom to you. And we are thrilled to have you connecting with us this evening in that way. We now turn our thoughts to those in our community who are in mourning. We think of the lives lost in recent days and the lives lost in past years at this time. I'm saddened to have to share with you the recent death of Natalie Reed, the mother of our own Debbie Casper. And information will be coming out regarding that in the next few days. We are also in a period of Shloshim for Sasha Greenberg, Fred Hyman, Dottie Myers, Evelyn Unger, and Dr. Gary David Friedman. Our hearts are with their families at this time. It is at this time of year that we also think of Steve Ansel, Bob Barczyk, Jules Barish, Rose Bassler, Adolph Picard, Adolph Bildstein, Abe Borenstein, Marcus Borenstein, George Bremen, Charles Butcher, Charles Cohen, Sarah Cohen, Barbara Cohn, Lottie Cooper, Bill Duncanson, Marie Ephraimson, Eugene Fishman, Judy Foster, Rose Foster, Steve Gavin, Florence Goldberg, Kenneth Goldstein, Robbie Greenberger, Francis Guggenheim, Gladys Hurwitz, Sidney Josephson, Henry Kahn, Charles Karsh, Sarah Culloden, Jack Loudon, Catherine Langman, Susan Lebo, Louis Levy, Harry David Mark, Max Mayer, Isidore Merkin, Jacob Jack Nelson, Paul Gerald Paul, Sidney Rice, Loretta Rose, Morris Rothbard, Moral Rothbaum, Elizabeth Rudick, Augusta Seelig, Marcus Simon, Jano Stern, Tilly Sussman, Mamie Tavel, Christopher Walsh, Carolyn Wynn, Anne Wolmuth, Blanche Wolfe, Daniel Wolfe, Anne Zwern, and my apologies, not Gerald Paul, but rather Paul Paul. If there is anyone else for whom you are mourning at this time, I invite you to share their names in the chat so that I may read them aloud and we can acknowledge you. And for all those we've named and for the millions who have left behind none to mourn for them, we turn now to the mourner's Kaddish and offer this prayer together. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chaye d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach leolam lamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei d'kudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama Rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. And we add to that not just a prayer for the people of Israel, but a prayer for all the inhabitants of the earth. We say, as is our custom, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. And together we say, amen. We also think, included in our prayers, we think of Marion Weil and J. Arthur Hirsch, Jr. And I thank you for sharing those names with us this evening. We, of course, want to turn our thoughts and our hearts back to that period of rest, that not 24 but 25-hour gift that we are given weekly, that, of course, it was decided that Shabbat needed to be even more special and even longer than any other day of the week. So for 25 hours, we have the opportunity to breathe and relax and unplug. And perhaps just gathering together in this moment and seeing one another's faces and meeting each other where we are, the good, the bad, the computer chargers that die, right? Meeting each other in this moment gives us a chance to smile and miss one another and realize that wherever we are one community, we are connected. And we hope that you will continue to join us on Friday night and to extend our net even wider and invite others in your family to join us as well. And so we're going to close with Oseh Shalom, perhaps the one Jewish melody that cantors know everybody knows. We kind of learn that when you want to gather everyone together, this is the one you sing, because regardless of their background, people tend to know this. So it is my hope that I will at the very least see your lips move so that I know you will be singing with me. Please join me. Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. And I see my friends, Eleanor and Julian. Hi, guys. I'm so excited to see you. Shabbat Shalom. And I know that they have a beautiful challah. Now is the time. If you have a challah with you, we would love for you to join Jordana, Rabbi Jordana, and her beautiful family as they lead us in Motzi.
Yes, so we are so happy that we could lead you into Motzi with my little helper friends who have just completed their first 2 days of school here. So, Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our prayer is humbly said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom, and thank you. We will go ahead and unmute all of you. Please do continue to join us. Check out everything that we are offering. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Betsy.
Shabbat shalom, Debbie Casper. Shabbat shalom, Shannon Wagner.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Hi, Ruthie.
Shabbat shalom.
They're there. I saw it.
Shabbat shalom, Aaron Casper.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, David, if you're listening.
I love you, Mom.
Love you more.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Deb.
Want them to see this?
Daphne has no idea.
Shabbat shalom.
You know, it was very nice to have the Cantor conduct the service.
Yeah.
It was nice for a change.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Bye, Grandpa.
Shabbat shalom.
Love that.
Grandpa.
Oh, beautiful.